Ever wondered how much safer your work at height operations could be? Imagine a world where every potential hazard is detected before it becomes a problem. Meet Tracker AI's smart PTZ camera system. This isn't just any camera, it's a game changer in work at height safety. Safety is paramount, right? It's the foundation of a productive and happy workforce. Despite stringent regulations, accidents still happen. Traditional methods often fall short in preventing these incidents. Enter Tracker AI's smart PTZ. This advanced system is designed to fill the gaps left by outdated safety measures. Tracker smart PTZ cameras deliver unmatched oversight so you can spot hazards before they become accidents. Offering 24/7 monitoring, it detects work at height safety hazards instantly, no matter the time of day or night. Think about it. Real-time monitoring, automated alerts, and even fall detection. It's like having a safety manager who never blinks. Real-time alerts trigger immediate action, ensuring that potential dangers are addressed before they escalate. Automated surveillance significantly reduces human error, making your work site safer and more efficient. It even detects PPE and welding work compliance, ensuring that all workers are properly equipped. Ensure every worker goes home safe. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Ready to elevate safety? Stay safe, stay smart. With Tracker AI, you're not just upgrading your equipment, you're upgrading your entire safety culture. The Tracker Smart PTZ camera features advanced AI algorithms that are constantly learning and adapting to new safety challenges. With 360-degree rotation and high-definition video, it covers every angle, leaving no blind spots. You can decide which areas to cover, what to detect in each area through a simple online procedure without ever leaving your seat. Through the setup, you can monitor what is happening on the ground in real time remotely. In a recent case study, a manufacturing plant reduced accidents by 40% after implementing our system. Features include night vision, advanced monitoring for PPEs, work at height and welding activities, including real-time analytics, making it a comprehensive safety solution. Our team of experts ensures the highest quality and reliability, constantly innovating to meet your safety needs. Plus, our dedicated support team is here to assist you 24/7, ensuring that you get the most out of your investment. Join the revolution in safety with Tracker AI's smart PTZ camera system. It's time to take your safety measures to the next level. Visit tracker.live to learn more and get started today. Together, we can create a safer, smarter future for everyone.
Welcome to another episode of Hakla Podcast, where we explore the minds shaping sustainable business and technology. Today, we are honored to host Mr. Akash Shah, General Manager and Head of ESG at UPC Renewables India, a leader in ESG, EHS, sustainability, and climate action. We'll discuss how AI is transforming ESG strategies from emissions tracking to social audits, and how leaders can practically implement AI to align sustainability goals with business performance. If you want to understand ESG execution with an AI lens, you don't want to miss this episode. So let's get started. Thank you, Mr. Akash, for joining us today. And as we begin our episode, I would request you to introduce yourself for our audience.
Thank you so much, Amber, for inviting me to this podcast and discussing on such an important, essential topic. Myself, Dr. Akash Shah, and I'm currently the General Manager ESG at UPC Renewable India Private Limited. I come over with around 15 years of experience in EHS, occupational health, hygiene and safety, along with ESG, and have worked with multiple industrial sectors like chemical industries, lubricants, automobiles, heavy engineering, warehousing, and now currently into renewable energy. And
Okay.
I believe that I strongly believe that EHS, occupational health, hygiene are very important materiality factors when we speak of the ESG concerns. And I think we are broadly going to discuss on that today.
Sure. So let's get started. I read that you lead the ESG at
Yeah.
UPC Renewables India. So how do you see AI practically supporting ESG strategies within the renewable sector?
So AI is definitely the buzzword today, and every organization is opting out for technologies which are enabled with the AI. And if we look at the timeline around back in 2015 when the Paris Agreement was signed, uh, in that AI, artificial intelligence, and related technologies were identified as an enabler for climate action, right? And I think going ahead, I think uh, Google and I think European Union, these all these all important geographies and companies, they started the utilization of AI in their green vision strategy. And I think in renewable energy sector, it has a very critical role to play, especially in terms of if we say grid stability and resilience, and improved energy forecasting, improved efficiency of the grid, like, and lower carbon footprint by giving you predictive analysis, which will also reduce your maintenance cost, faster renewable energy interpretations and integration, and it's overall cost savings across the entire energy value chain, right? So
Right, right,
and of course, this all correlates with our ESG, because ultimately, these generations in renewable energy sectors are directly related to the green finances which we have invested, right? So the ESG management and the real-time reporting, real-time monitoring of the GHG emissions, and the planning of
right.
decarbonization is something which I believe, in my personal experience, is a very heavy advantage of utilizing AI in the renewable energy sector. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
So
That's
optimization
a very
overall, I
important
can say
point.
optimization. We can say optimization in terms of planning in entire energy value chain, and optimization in terms of data gathering. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right, right. Akash, what ESG data challenges have you
Yeah.
faced, and where has AI helped in
Yeah,
addressing them?
so I mean, there are a lot of things, particularly if we say that I mean, in renewable energy sector, as we know that climate change is already impacting the the industries, the corporates planning of the planning and everything. So I mean, like, to track the carbon emissions, particularly the scope 2 and scope 3 in our case, right? That is a very
Yes.
big challenge, because people are at multiple locations. Workforce is, I mean, it's nearly impossible to expect from the workforce upon having this kind of knowledge in them, and the sensibility of ESG, right? Secondly is the climate risk analysis. My plant has to withstand for 25 years, right? Particularly a solar plant. So a very proper, authentic, climate risk analysis is imperative for us, right? So that one challenge could also be solved by integration of AI into your predictive analysis softwares. So that is one another challenge. Your waste and your resource optimization is also one of the major challenge, uh, which I think could be resolved with the help of softwares which are enabled with the AI powered planning system. And overall, the most important part, because in renewables, land is the very big aspect. Okay, land has a major part to play. So biodiversity and land use monitoring is a very big challenge. Okay, you have to map your communities, the biodiversity areas, and the key routes of your endangered species. Okay, so in that case, that satellite imagery and AI for deforestation could be definitely very, very useful. So I think these were some of the challenges with, and I'm particularly speaking with the solutions which, we look forward to the usage of AI. Yeah, yeah,
Right, right, right. I think AI will become and has already started to become a very big enabler in
yes,
this journey.
yes. And yeah, and I
So,
think overall
yeah,
it will help in reducing the risk by giving you more predictive kind of reports and everything, and ultimately it will also help at the board level for the future investments also, particularly from our renewable
right,
energy
right.
space. Yeah,
Okay. So, talking about green
yeah,
finance
yeah,
and
yeah,
those
yeah.
kind, right? So, Akash, how does AI enable predictive climate risk assessment and emission tracking?
So yeah, sorry.
So,
Hmm.
how does AI enable the predictive climate risk assessment and emissions
Yeah,
tracking?
so I think this is again, as I mentioned, that it is one of the major challenges for us to do the carbon emission tracking and climate risk analysis. So there are specialized agencies which we deploy during the planning phase of any of the project, right? And I believe that, although not a very expert in that area, but I believe that they are using the IoT and machine learning techniques to detect and predict the emissions patterns, right? So they give you a emission pattern and a a life cycle assessment report based on a typical installation of a solar unit, right? And
Okay.
regarding the climate risk analysis, I think there are different AI models which are, I mean, like publicly and privately available for simulating the climate change scenarios and assessing the business vulnerabilities. And I think that report particularly gives us the leverage in selection of our materials, the materials of construction, to withstand those temperatures, those wind, salinity, all different type of the parameters, right? So being very organic
Nice.
about my experience, I'm putting this, that how
Right.
exactly we have utilized AI for the applications in climate change and the emission monitoring patterns. Yeah.
Right, right. So, Akash, like these are third-party companies that uh, capture different factors and based on that churn this
Yes,
data.
they basically utilized whatever institutional data are available across the world. There is uh, World Wildlife Institute. Then there is this WWF as well. Then there is IUCN data. There are different institutional datas which are available across the world. So these softwares basically capture those datas from there, right? And I mean, like it's the past, the historical part of that, right? Considering all the past vulnerabilities, the present day scenario, and the expected curve of the temperature, and which
Okay.
correlates with the climate change also. So they give you a output, they give you a result, that what kind of MOC you have to utilize, or what will be the basic scenario in that area, what will be the wind speed, what will be the sandstorm occurrences, because these are the things which
Right.
actually affects the resilience of any typical renewable energy project, right? So we
Okay.
have,
I understood. I
I mean,
understood.
like that is very helpful for community emergency planning and preparedness part also, because there are people living nearby the
Right.
villages. I mean, right? And we also look forward
Right.
to
Right.
this, to integration of AI in ESG and renewable energy project planning, because that also give us an added advantage of how basically how to site the entire renewable energy site without causing significant displacement of the communities, because that is one of a very core and a crucial issue. Yes, yes,
Okay. Right. Right. So this is really helpful during the
yes,
planning
yes,
phase, right?
yes, yeah,
Okay. So can you share a real world case where AI integration improved ESG reporting or monitoring at UPC
yeah.
Renewables?
So I think one of the because we have utilized AI based tools during our planning phase. So I mentioned that it helped us, create our carbon inventory, the emission inventory basically. It helped us in our traffic management plan. That is one of the cases that, how could we basically plan our logistical movement considering the data of traffic movement in that particular area. This is one of the real examples, right? And I think one of the another example is the climate part, the climate risk anticipations and mitigation measures. I think that is helping us now in the present day
Right.
when the projects are already operationalized and they are in operations. They are helping us, quite like around 40 to 50% to reduce our time in particularly ESG reporting, which is a very problematic area for most of the peoples, for most of the mid-term managers, mid-level managers, as well as the leaders in the
Right.
industry. So this is helping us to automatically collect the data of travel of the employees, how different portals are integrated within the software. So that improves, that is one of the improvisations which we have seen. And of course the end results are that it leads you to more better compliance and audit readiness also. So yeah, yeah,
So, like you mentioned, reporting is a area of
yeah.
concern.
Reporting is
Okay.
definitely an area of concern. Yeah.
Bec- is it because like scope one, two, and three emissions are all
Uh,
you need
Yeah,
to figure it out,
not
right?
just the emission tracking part, but beyond that, there are many, material KPIs like your manpower, your accidents on the site, how much amount of natural resources you are utilizing, like water tracking and everything, because it's a typical construction project. So, these are the things which needs to be captured very precisely if we need to formulate our own ESG strategy, or we need to do some kind of objective settings, right? Maybe there are leading and there are lagging parameters also. So I think to track them effectively, if we don't have a software, then I think the Excel and the Word files, I mean, gone are the times when they used to be very effective. And because it is coming from multiple sites, we have multiple locations, multiple parcels, okay, and there are multiple types of the people, right? And having said that, this area, the AI ESG part as well as the renewable energy sector, there is a clear dearth of professionals, right? And those professional skills within the people, even within the experienced people coming from renewable space, are facing, I can say, the ESG literacy challenge, right? So I think the software does its job very well. You need to put the crude data, the organic data, right? And it processes itself. If there are errors, if there are some, high-low margins, it is also flagged off that yes, that this there is some problem in the input as well. So I think these are some real examples, right, which we are experiencing at the moment. Yeah.
Right, right. Akash, many fears greenwashing in ESG claims. How can AI help create transparency and credibility in ESG
Yeah,
reporting?
so I think there has been quite a lot of examples of lot of FMCG companies, then even renewable energy sector companies, automobile companies, right, without naming them, who have perpetrated a lot of greenwashing, right? And particularly when the world is moving towards decarbonization and towards those common goals, right, of reducing the overall temperature and making the world a better living space. It is imperative that a proper credible data and the actions arising out of those data makes a difference, and for that proper reporting is necessary. And for that the greenwashing part basically, I mean, like, you know uh, showing something else which is really not effective compared to what we are presenting in the report is something like that. So I think usage of AI will help you reduce these things. Like, we can say continuous monitoring of the ESG parameters, which we are doing in our softwares, like disclosures, like regulatory changes, right? Sometimes it is that, unknowingly the corporations or organizations, out of you know out of that disinformation or out of that lack of information, owing to regulatory changes or owing to any kind of changes which can dent their reputation, they slip into greenwashing, right? So the thing is that these AI based software systems would definitely help you to track your compliances, the regulatory updates, right? There will be transparent ESG reporting, so that will help you strategize your next objectives, right? And in particularly in the renewable energy sector, I told land plays a major part. So a very transparent remote sensing report of your land, of the communities, of the logistical routes, all these things, it will ultimately give you a fruitful result, and it will be a win-win situation both for the companies and it, right? And regarding the communities, right? Because this planning is not for one day, it is for 25 years, right? Many of the times it has been seen that you have entered in that particular community land with a good intent, but you end up doing something else because there is a lack of proper planning, proper predictive analysis, right? So I think AI is definitely helping us to do that. And undoubtedly, the disclosure and regulatory compliance is something which remains as a top priority. So it is helping us by providing regulatory updates. And I mean, the situation, right now in India is that every day, every morning, there are 5 to 10 notifications coming, with respect to different act and rules in the country. So it is very, very essential for us. And this sector being I can say a red carpet sector. It's a red carpet, right? It is that government is giving a lot of boost, lot of impetus, right? So there are no red tape incidents or any kind of the red tapeism in particularly in the renewable energy sector. So what happens is that knowingly or unknowingly you miss something very important, and then that pose a kind of reputational dent on your board. So this is what being an ESG leader, we need to take care of, right? That whatever I mentioned, we take those things into consideration, and we take that into our
Right,
business
right.
decision
So,
practices.
Akash, like ESG reporting standard, like is it a global standard or do India have some different standards for itself and for the global?
Yeah, so I think there is BRSR, the business reporting, the business responsibility and sustainability reporting. So that's a particularly Indian made, curated for the Indian industries, and that has been introduced way back. It was known as BRR back in 2020s, and back in 2021 it was incorporated as BRSR, and I think in a very staggered fashion it has been put forward for the first top 100 companies, 500 companies, 1000 companies, and in a very staggered fashion they are moving ahead. So that is particularly for the Indian listed entities. But apart from that, there are many reporting which are renowned on the global level, particularly the GRI reporting, the Global Reporting Initiatives. Uh, for particularly the industries into manufacturing, there is EcoVadis reporting, you have CDP reportings, right? So it also depends. The reporting framework is something which is which is more governed by your lenders and your investors. That from which source of the of the world, the geography your funds are flowing down. So that would basically determine the kind of the framework you need to use. So it is very, very dependent on our bankers and lenders. In my experience, we have worked with the Europeans. We have worked with, particularly in Europe, we have worked with the Belgium Investment Authority. We have worked with Responsibility, that's based out in Switzerland. We have worked with Norfund, which is based out in Norway. So they have their own curated framework for the kind of the industries wherein we are functional, because they have multi-sectoral investment. Right? So this was one of the experience in a small and a medium scale level of the organization, wherein we had our own curated framework for the ESG reporting. So that is how it
Right,
is
right.
right
So,
now.
Akash, I was thinking like investors really see and go through the ESG goals which a company has set and what they have delivered before giving out investments. Is that true?
Yes, yes. So the thing is that it is a default covenant in your green financing and in sustainable financing that ESG forms at least 50% weightage, and the financial discipline of the organizations, the overall governance forms the another 50%, right? And the overall structuring, financial structuring of the organization. So these are the two, basically two, we can say, blocks which determines the entire chunk of investment. So before any kind of refinancing, any kind of primary investment or any kind of reinvestment situations or debt financing, uh, we have to undergo an extensive ESG check, particularly to the regulatory framework which are applicable to that kind of the industries, as well as to your sector specific. Now when we say sector specific, there are of course there are IFC guidelines, the World Bank guidelines in place which we follow as an organization. So uh, we need to make sure that we report them in the most transparent manner, validated by your by expert agencies, and after proper scrutiny, the first term of your refinance or your basically the facility comes in place. At times, because I mean, like for our avid listeners, I would also like to mention that there is a facility called TA, technical assistance. There are many small and medium scale companies which requires a lot of support in terms of resources, manpower, technology adoption, like an AI based software, for their very smooth operation and for this entire ESG governance part, basically, for governing this entire ESG program. So they require money for that. They require certain technical assistance. So if you present your problem statement, they may provide you with a technical assistance. Like I remember that in one of the experiences, we had a challenge of having just in one of the organizations just 10% of female ratio compared to the male ratio in the organization. So the challenge here is that, particularly in a renewable energy sector where it is functional in different domains of the country and in a very remote location, it is difficult to find females, to be placed in the operational plants or in your operational factories. And the skill set, right? The incentivization part. So these are the challenges. So we presented this problem statement to the minister. We were able to procure a green, um, basically, technical assistance fund, which is given with certain covenants on
Right.
monitoring, periodic progress, and end of life
Okay.
of the TA. So yes, the TA
Got
is
it.
available.
Yeah, so this brings me to the next question, which is how do you
Yeah,
balance technology adoption with human rights and ethical considerations within ESG?
yeah. So I think that's an important question again. That we need to balance the technology with the human rights and ethical consideration in the ESG, and for that, I think it requires a little planning and a structured kind of a thing. And just for the information of our listeners, I think we have UN guiding principles in place, right? And we have human rights impact assessment framework in place, which will help you to basically put those material KPIs in your entire planning, you know. And then the transparency and disclosures in the framework is the another mechanism through which you can disclose your human rights and your um, the supply chain issue, these human rights issues in your supply chain, right? Then I think secondly is the it is again very important that the AI model which we have which we have applied for our day-to-day functionality is free from the bias kind of behavior, and particularly against any race, because I don't clearly remember, but a few days back there has also been a legal case on one of the AI engines uh, producing bias, racial, gender kind of biased kind of reports and results, right? So I think this comes also as one of the one of the challenges while
Right.
adopting this thing, right? And I think particularly with the renewable energy space, back in 2021, there was one very crucial issue which arose, which was in China, relating to the human rights, the human rights issues in the Xinjiang region relating to Uyghur Muslims. So it was mandated by many standard organizations, particularly from the United States government, that I mean, there has to be a very deep, detailed traceability and a kind of a supply chain auditing for all the materials, the modules, solar modules, panels, which were coming from China. And I think that was where I think and again, to give the impetus to Make in India movement, it was completely the ALMM came into the picture. That is the approved list of module manufacturers, to give impetus to the module producers in India. Although we believe that still the ingots and the basic raw materials are still coming from China and those territories.
Right.
We are making sure as an organization that the proper traceability is in place, right? Because that's again an investor requirement, and that is the overall goal. Under the sustainable development goals as well, that we don't require any kind of forced labor
Yeah.
and any indiscriminate practices.
Right. Right.
So I think that's how it is very significant, particularly to this point of human rights in the supply chain journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Akash, I also heard that there is this technology of blockchain, right? So have you heard that there were some news articles about blockchain can be used in this whole supply chain, which is more robust, and you cannot cannot change information once you put it.
Yeah. So I think with my limited information and limited knowledge on the blockchain part, um, I think yes, it could be through it could be through the product, it could be through the process, or it could be through the basically the junction points from where your product is moving to its end point, that it
Right.
is being tracked, it is being traced, right? And the information relating to that production, or what kind of resources has been utilized, while keeping the ESG KPIs into consideration.
Right.
I
Right.
think this is where the blockchain could be useful and utilizable. In
Right.
fact,
Right.
this is something which I read a couple of weeks back, and I think that's where my memory gets refreshed upon
Right.
your question.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. So moving forward, for companies who are beginning their ESG journey,
yeah,
what small steps can they take to leverage AI effectively?
yeah. So I think you know it is that the companies need to identify their strengths and their weaknesses, because it is that this area being very new for the people, there are many challenges, right? So I think we need to first go for the low hanging fruits, right? So that is like the basic usage of utilization of the AI tools for creation of your processes, your procedure, or at least you can use it to validate it, right? So I think that is the first step. Second step is how would you collect your data, the structure of the data, basically the structure of reporting, and how would you collect your data and where is it coming from, right? So utilization again of AI sources in your accounting softwares, for example, your travel software or anything. So the data gets integrated, right? Because these new organizations utilizing ESG funds, or taking their baby steps into ESG, are not bigger corporations, but they are the newer startups actually, with a very limited man force resources, right? So for them, I think these what I can say, uh, these light tools, these lighter tools can be very helpful to them in terms of their efficiency and resource optimization. Then third part, which I believe is like making a basic framework for the organization, right? And I think that is determined, again, I mentioned that clearly in the previous question, that it is determined by your bankers and by your investors, right? So having your basic ESG
Right.
framework in place,
Right.
right? And having a risk management or risk mitigation plan in place will also help, the organization, foresee that what kind of the risks are there, and you can strategize your annual planning or your 5-year planning with the help of that plan.
Right.
So I think these are some of the, and again, this is my experience. This is basically what I feel.
Yes. Yes.
A new industry or a newbie, or a tech startup
Yeah.
should basically.
Understood. Yeah. So, Akash, for example, I start my own startup
Yeah.
and I'm looking for a structure to put out the information from my end. So, are those
Right.
structures already available?
Yeah, there are, the beauty of ESG in the present day is that, these disclosures or these frameworks are readily available on the internet, right? And basis your materiality, that is the first step that you have to determine your risks, right? The risk of your organization to the planet and the risk of the planet to your organization, right? That needs to be determined by a materiality assessment. And once you determine that, could be integrated within a risk management framework. And then on basis that there are many open frameworks available or checklists or kind of a process available basically from IFC, World Bank guidelines, they are available. We
Okay.
can definitely make that. So
Got
I
it.
think that's not a big thing. But
Right.
yes, having a software for data reporting is definitely very important, because that is where the people lose the track.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that is where the discrepancy occurs, which ultimately leads to greenwashing
Okay.
and unintentional greenwashing.
Right. Right.
Yes.
So, I was just thinking that now in the boardroom meeting,
Yeah.
basically Earth is becoming a stakeholder, right?
Yes.
Earth is a stakeholder, right? Which we
Yes.
never thought about.
Which we never thought about. Yes. We are never away from it.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, how does AI aid in supply chain transparency and social audits?
Yeah. So I think, yeah. So uh, can I just, the term, can you please repeat the terms?
Yes, sure. So, how does AI aid in supply chain transparency and social audits?
Okay. So regarding the supply chain transparency is that, particularly when I say of this traceability for our modules, I think the blockchain and the AI concept, right, is something which is now being utilized by most of the module manufacturing and spare part manufacturing company to track what we can say mine to module, right? Because
Right,
it's a metal
right.
which comes from the mine, so mine to module. So, you will come to know that where exactly this is coming from, what
Yeah,
vendors, what subcontractors were involved in that, right? And the product is getting traced at every point of time with
exactly.
this blockchain,
Yes.
right? I think, and in case of renewable energy industry, again, as I mentioned, the satellite imagery or the remote sensing report for the planning of our site, that is again very very imperative for the supply chain part, because particularly the logistics part, right, is again very important. So I think that will also help us, right? And regarding the social audit part, right? So I think in social audit part, what I saw in one of the industries, again, it's a very leading renewable energy company in India. We saw that they have AI based cameras in their in their factories, which they are utilizing to capture the unsafe act, unsafe movements, right? Particularly for the EHS application. So I think that is one part which helps you monitor your, when there are multiple units, basically there are multiple warehouses, multiple sites, multiple plants, multiple factories, that will help you that, right? I think that will
Right.
also help you for the payroll part also. We have seen that in India, because of this, because of the the dire poverty still prevailing in certain parts of India, we have seen that people are working in double shifts in, let's say, one A unit in the morning and B unit in the evening. So that was very difficult, and this is a very gross human rights issue. So that thing could be curbed, or it could be helped out with the help of this AI based payroll scans, right? So that there is no repetition of a person even within the same entity or group companies within the same entity. So that is again one of the practical things which we have seen.
Right,
And
right. Okay.
if I can, if I can remember anything else. So I think, yeah, this is it. This is it in my practical experience, which I feel has definitely served the justice to your question, right?
Right, right. Right. So, what are some of the challenges leaders should expect when they adopt AI in ESG, and how can they navigate them?
Could you repeat that? I think I lost
Yeah.
you.
So, what are the challenges leaders should expect when they are adopting AI in ESG,
Yeah.
and how can they navigate them?
Yeah, so I think the initial costs is one of the biggest challenge which any industry, the ROI part of that is something which you know, which I feel and which I have experienced. Number two is the biasing part, right? We need to make sure the organizations or the parties from whom the software is being procured are GDPR compliant, right? And this biasing part, although I'm not an AI expert, but still I feel that those kind of the cases coming up these days towards favorism of certain geographies, certain races, genders, okay, should not be there, right? And third part is the training and competency. I mean, like, gone are the days when the conventional training used to be on the on the KRAs and the KPIs of the people. Now I think it should be more towards the familiarization and inculcating that literacy amongst the new joinees in the organization, right? So that
Right, right.
these resources or these tools which have been deployed, you can take a proper leverage and a proper usage out of it. You can explore a proper potential out of it. And ultimately,
Yes, yes.
this should be the top priority for any business leader who is starting his own business or an enterprise, which is ESG
Right,
driven,
right.
right? Particularly,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. Great. So, coming on to the final question for our conversation, uh, as a climate change enthusiast, how do you see AI enabling decarbonization in India and globally in the next decade?
Yeah. So I think the biggest contribution of AI is, as I mentioned, I think in the very initial question, that it helps you in the grid stability and grid optimization, that the power demand and the supply thing, right? And that will also help you prevent the blackouts and all those kind of things, right? And there are certain AIs wherein I have heard that AI are, they are power hungry, right? But there are certain AI which I think I was reading about Google or some other data center. They are utilizing that AI, which is reducing the cooling energy consumption by 40%, right? So I think that is again one of the example when I'm speaking of the grid stability and the grid stabilization, right? Then it is also very useful to certain sectors, in particularly in India, which are hard to abate kind of the sector. When I say hard to abate, is that those sectors wherein you try your best, but it is owing to the process of production or your material. There is a carbon emission to a certain extent, right? Like a steel sector, like a cement sector, right? So I think
Right.
there are certain AI-based softwares which we have heard, which are helping, at the moment. I think Tata Steel, which I heard, that it is helping optimize their blast furnace temperature, right? Because blast furnace is typically a very important equipment in the steel manufacturing, and it is a power hungry device. So that is somewhere where it is helping by doing the predictive analysis and all those kind of the things. I believe in India, agriculture, when we are a very agriculture, we are still agriculture dominated country. So, this
Yes.
precision and this predictive, climate predictive analysis and its availability on handy, your mobile sets, right? And we remember in our times we used to have Krishi Vigyan on the Doordarshan, right? That was one of the milestone landmark stepped when back to those times when India launched its satellite program, when it entered in a full-fledged satellite program. That was how it was being communicated to the farmers to improve, their cropping patterns and all kind of the agri literacy. I think in the
Right,
present
right,
day,
right.
the forest monitoring, groundwater resource monitoring, the remote sensing, I think these tools have basically enabled our farmers and the government and the decision makers, especially in agricultural prone states, to take better decision in terms of
Right,
seed selection, in terms of soil quality analysis, uh, judicial and optimal use of your groundwater, right? And to give you
right,
ultimately to give you a better crop pattern, which is of course very essential for the food security as well as the prosperity, the monetary prosperity of our farmers, which is the backbone of this
right,
country, right? And I think
right,
going ahead, I think the application for smart cities, right? Keeping your cities clean and observing and monitoring the patterns of waste generation, particularly in the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan when we are speaking, right?
yes,
Then
yes, yes,
Indore and Ahmedabad and different places are now gaining the impetus of
yes,
striving towards the Swachh Bharat, and in the Swachh Sarvekshan they are standing top. I think a lot of
yes, yes, yes.
AI based remote sensing applications have been utilized, right? And I think that has been also very helpful in reduction of those those garbage heaps. We see big
Yeah,
mountains, very common in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and Delhi, right?
Delhi.
Yes. And so that will help you to improvise your waste to energy program, wherein I think a lot of focus is there at a moment, right? And
Right, right.
so I think practically these are some of the examples which are coming to my mind, right? And I think
Sure, sure.
in the future it will be all about your city planning. It will be utilized in the education, right? And the most important, transportation, logistics sector, right? Planning of your roads, right? Which I think, which we have seen that the infrastructure sector is
Yeah.
gaining a lot of impetus, right? And Nitin
Right.
Gadkari ji is always very vocal on the utilization
Yeah.
of AI based planning and all that, and not just the
Yes.
road and the rail, but also the shipping infrastructure, right? It is the usage of AI based tools is helping design those engines. And I think couple of days back, not very clear information, but couple of days back I have also learned that the first ship utilizing green ammonia has been launched across the world, maybe in some part of the world, right? So I think
Okay.
this is the future. It is the future,
Right,
and we
right,
are
right.
no I mean we are in no ways separated or away from AI, right? But the only things which we need to take care as a country, as an individual, as a company, is that we we focus on the legitimate and judicious use of AI, which is free of any kind of biasing, any kind of security issues, right? We also need to strengthen our data security network and framework,
Yeah.
right? Owing to all the kind of the cyber
Yes.
threats and cyber incident, which is also one of the very very strong topic across the boardrooms as well as in the government departments also, because there are many incidents of data breaches
Right,
and
right.
data leakages. I think
True, true, true.
India needs to take those very strong steps, and of course we are taking that in hardware improvisation, the data storage, safety, security, right? Which will be very helpful to to achieve this journey or to sustain this journey, right? And while we are
Right,
speaking
right,
all of
right.
these, I think we are aware that you know India has already achieved its 50% target of operationalizing the renewable energy projects as committed in the Paris Agreement. It's back in 2015.
Right,
So
right, right.
5 years ahead of 2030, we have achieved this. And whatever we spoke, or whatever we discussed during this entire conversation is all very related to that. It was not possible uh,
Right.
just because of your conventional ways of working. It was possible because of the use of softwares, AI based technology, and interventions, which has helped
Yes.
India achieve this,
Right.
right? And I believe,
That's yeah.
with a very positive spirit, you know that. the pace by which we are going will definitely help India to achieve being a carbon neutral country by 2070. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's a very, very incredible achievement that we have completed our goals way ahead of schedule.
It's
So
a
that's a
completely
very big
electrified.
achievement.
Our grid has completely electrified the entire nation. Those places which were not connected, Leh Ladakh, the northeast part has been now integrated within the central grid, right? And it is all possible
Okay.
because of these AI-based tools, which is helping basically balance during the peak load times,
Right,
ensuring that no one is left behind. That's all.
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
being putting up my organic
Great, great.
ideas.
Very nice. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Akash, for sharing these invaluable insights on leveraging AI within ESG frameworks. It's clear that technology, when responsibly applied, can drive measurable sustainability outcomes and foster transparent, ethical business practices. To all our listeners, we hope you are inspired to explore how AI can enhance your ESG initiatives. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode if it brought value to you, and share it with your colleagues. Until next time, let's keep pushing the boundaries of responsible innovation. Thank you again.